Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast. For this review, we will be, discussion, we will be revisiting the Equalizer franchise since the third movie is out. It's one of our favorite franchises, so set your timers on. We got a great discussion. Akram, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could all agree there are some pretty great and quotable moments from both Equalizer movies. I think that's what really highlights the films, and that's why there's like a small fan base for it, but for the most part, I think we could all remember these scenes, and it's just great, powerful writing in these scenes that's like super memorable. But you know, the funny thing about Equalizer is, aside from that, I don't think people really remember like the endings, how good certain parts were, the beginning, stuff like that. So I think that's why maybe it's kind of dedicated to a small niche of like groups that are fans of Equalizer. So probably that's why I ended with 3. Yeah, we just reviewed Equalizer 3, so we're gonna get right to it. Fuck it. Go on, you talk.
Yeah, I think people tend to equate it with like Taken or John Wick.
Yeah,
but it's not even that action pay. It just happens that Robert McCall, played by Denzel Washington, he's just a badass character that like is like 10 steps ahead of everybody, right?
Yeah,
and I think that's what makes him badass. Is for number one, he's not afraid to like get in your face, and especially if you're threatening somebody, and he knows a lot of skill, like he's like what, ex-CIA or like ex-Black Ops or something.
Also like military something, yeah.
Some military thing. Yeah, so like he knows like how to break down like organizations from the inside.
For sure.
And it's really interesting. And I think why we love these movies is just seeing him in these like heavy dialogue scenes with a lot of with the bad guys, right? Because he always like prepares them, right? It's like he always gives them. It's not like your typical action movie. Like he's kind of like a vigilante in a way, but like not like a Punisher in a way. Like he gives them a choice. Like he doesn't mind if you do business, just like leave certain people alone, right? And that's kind of why he's like an anti-hero. He's not like a good guy per se, but like he has good morality, but he goes about things with like very cruel and like methods. So that's kind of like why it's called the Equalizer in a way, because he does unto others what, you know, they do to other people. But yeah, what do you think of his character?
Yeah, I feel like he's like a man's man. I feel like, of course, he's really methodical. That's what sets him apart from a lot of these action hero characters. And also he has OCD too. So, and he's always like checking the time. He's doing this. I think they went more into that in the first movie. I'm mad they kind of dropped it. But I really liked how he kept on like closing the door and stuff. It's just because he has like OCD. Mm-hmm. So I think that was really cool. I never seen something like that before. And yeah, that's what it is. I mean, you kind of get the feeling that, oh, you know, the villain's gonna be ended, right? His life's gonna be ended. But what the stakes really are high when it's someone innocent. But that could also be a hindrance to the movies as well, because then every movie would kind of be the same. It was just a different type of villain. I liked what they did with the Equalizer 2. I thought that was really interesting. I wish we could see more of Robert McCall's past in Equalizer 3. Unfortunately, they didn't really go there. But I liked the effort in Equalizer 2. I just felt like Equalizer 2, compared to Equalizer, the first one, was a weaker movie. And especially Equalizer 3. But yeah, I mean, and you know what's funny? There's like a lot of people like David Harbour, Pedro Pascal later on, Chloe Grace Moretz. There's like a lot of people that showed up a little later. Oh, Bill Pullman. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan. I feel like these type of movies though are sort of a dying breed, because Equalizer felt like one of those early 2000 action movies that would be directed by Ridley Scott's brother. I forgot his name at the moment, but you know, like Man on Fire. That's why even they had Dakota Fanning show up in Equalizer 3, right? It's a dying breed. It's kind of like those old Adam Sandler movies. Now I feel like John Wick has paved the way where, so now the next action thing is kind of either going to be like Extraction or John Wick, or The Raid, because a lot of people want like singular fight scenes, not like jump cutty. I hope though that this will inspire other filmmakers to make something very powerful, because this character, especially Denzel Washington, I don't think you could do of anybody else. Denzel Washington's like really powerful. You know, I think it'll feel different if it was like Chris Hemsworth or something like that, right? It'll be different.
Yeah, for sure. I think Denzel lends something to the role. It's like he's known for playing very like staunch characters, very in your face characters. Like I said, he's not afraid to tell you, like he makes good threats in a lot of his movies. Like he'll say it with like a friendly face. And I think that's why they chose him for this role. It's like perfectly casted. Isn't this like adapted too from like an older like serial? So I think that was cool that they managed to bring that and then adapt it for the big screen. And it's the runtime usually isn't bad. You can get through it like pretty quickly and get to the point. Like the last movie, I think was like an hour and 49 minutes or something. But there's still great dialogue scenes, and it's not like John Wick where it's like it's meant to be stylized action. It's more about the vigilantism and the themes of like morality and like helping other people, right?
Now that being said, I bet you didn't expect what I'm about to say next. We also have an Equalizer show with Queen Latifah. and I watched a couple episodes of that. I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of it. And I do love Queen Latifah, but I do feel like, we were just talking about Denzel Washington. I feel like there's something about Denzel Washington's character that it's like his masculine energy feels really kind of fatherly, especially in the first movie. I really enjoyed that a lot. Probably a little bit of the second movie, but with Miles, there's something fatherly about his character. So I feel like it's kind of weird to have Queen Latifah come in, because then it's like, I don't know if you could do Robert McCall, but like motherly. I don't think that really works for personally. So I mean, that's just my personal preference. I'm not like a huge fan of the Queen Latifah show. I don't even know if it's
those
canceled.
are just like big shoes to fill. I mean, how are you gonna follow up Denzel, right?
Yeah. It's just really weird. It's just odd, you don't really expect that. But again, these movies are, I think, iconic alone just for the dialogue, specific moments. And I think that's amazing, too, to have a movie that everyone can recall to a certain scene. It's just that scene. It's like, wow, really? And it's just talking. That's how good the performances were. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, we got to hire Denzel for like more of these, right? Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, that kind of slipped away with Equalizer 2. One of my favorite parts of Equalizer 2 was when McCall rescued Miles from becoming a gang member, and they were having that discussion, and he's like, you want to be a man? You think you're tough? Whatever. And he held the gun to his head. I thought that was so like powerful. Like a lot of these scenes in these movies are super, super powerful and intense. But what's interesting is in these moments, a lot of people would act really drastic and scared and frightened. And I think what makes it even more scary, what makes Robert McCall completely intimidating, is that he does not budge whatsoever. He says how it's going to be. He says what's going to happen, right? And he says how the world is right then and there. And it's like with such power, but stoicism. And it's like, oh shit. That's why I love Equalizer 1, because that was so good, that scene in the dinner when he's talking to Nikolai.
Brick by brick, body by body. That's like our favorite scene. I remember we used to talk about that all the time in high school. It's just the delivery of it. It's like he doesn't waste time. Like he just tells you what it is, and the villains always like overlook him because they think he's like some old guy. Like they don't know that like his background and stuff. And the scary part is like his past is like he's like a ghost basically. So like nobody knows like who he is or whatever. So. He always like delivers like these ultimatums, and it's just like, here's how it is. You leave these people alone, otherwise I'm gonna fuck you up, right? And then they always end up like the most like brutal deaths ever. Probably even more brutal than John Wick, I would say, because like the third one was like there was literally like bodies littered all over. I thought fucking like Michael Myers that came to the house or some shit.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting that they went back with his aesthetic too in Equalizer 3, because Equalizer 1 was really weird. It was like kind of like this reform kind of monk-ish type of look, like really clean cut because OCD. And in Equalizer 2 kind of dropped that because he started to work for Lyft. And then Equalizer 3 brought it back. I felt like that was really inconsistent. That's like one of the downsides I didn't like. But that's a minor thing. Yeah, the villains too are extremely bad, especially Equalizer 2. I think in the beginning they were gonna kill that family just eating dinner. The guy was scared. He's like, no, it's okay, it will hit. I kill your kid next. He's like, no. It's like so bad. But that's why it does feel more satisfying when Robert McCall does his work on these people.
Yeah, do you think the villains are like like just the run of the mill type of villain, or do you think they're like good for these movies?
To be honest with you, yeah. I mean, Equalizer 2 had Pedro Pascal as the main villain, and I just wasn't a fan of that whole last battle. I thought it was just too slow. So, but it was cool though. Again, one of the other scenes was that Robert McCall went to Pedro Pascal's house and like confronted him, and then all the guys were in a truck. And then later on, I honestly would have liked the fight there rather than just like shitty town or whatever. And it's a storm. I wasn't a big fan. Equalizer 1, I did like Nikolai. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he was sort of a run-of-the-mill villain, but there was something about him. I think the actor who played Nikolai did a phenomenal job.
He felt like an equal almost to the Equalizer.
Yeah, because he was really like pristine in the way he dressed and stuff like that for sure. Equalizer 2 was like kind of like a bratty Pedro Pascal, like, it's for the money, yeah. And he even killed Susan, which I was like, oh man, so
yeah. Because I kind of wanted like a villain. That's why I liked Nikolai, because I like that he had his own like skill set too. It was kind of like a cat and mouse game. But yeah, and after even the third movie, like they were just like these generic mafia guys. I mean, they had like a lot of influence and a lot of like stretch, like because they basically took over the the Italian government and shit. But I think I just wanted like something more of an equal to Robert's skill set,
Yeah, I know. It's really interesting, the villains. They all remind me of like some Armenian soccer fans who love Puma sneakers with the BMW logo on it.
Some Chechenians from
Barry.
The Barry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the villains are, but that's the thing. I really wish the last movie took place in America. I said this in the other review. I wish it did. Maybe even Robert McCall's hometown or something like that. Like it went really personal.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, unfortunately. But I don't know if we'll ever see anything from the Equalizer ever again, except aside from the Queen Latifah thing or whatever. It's one of those things where it's like those hidden gem movies, right? That's why I said it's like the early 2000s, because nobody really remembers Man on Fire. But if you look back at Man on Fire, it was a pretty decent movie if you actually watch it. So only a select few will like think about it. It's like one of those movies where you'll forget eventually, but you'll rewatch it time to time or something like, oh yeah, this is so badass. It was like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's one of, I think, Denzel's more memorable roles, to be honest with you. I think he just lends something to that character, and it's like when you think of Equalizer, you think of him before you think of like the older series, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, great performances overall, not just from Denzel, but supporting cast as well. They're great movies, like you said, not just great action films, but just great movies in general. They feel like they lend something to you emotionally as well, because it's very satisfying when you finish it and you're like, oh, you're glad that these people are safe.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck. Right. That would end.
And then you see like the bodies literally on the floor, just like spread out.
Yeah.
But yeah, any final thoughts you had?
Yeah. So, like this video, I guess. No, I mean, no. Honestly, yeah. This franchise, I am really sad that it ended. I always think about like when I have a younger niece, and I was like, oh, you guys are never gonna know this movie and stuff like that. But then I'm like a complete weirdo thinking about that too. But it's a really kind of niche movie, which I don't think it'll perform that well in the box office. And I do feel like it is kind of this dying breed of film, the way how it's structured, unfortunately. But I'd love to see a return for it. I love to see something. Now, if you notice, the action films that are they kind of fit in this realm, they're really like gun-ho, kind of like Terminal List or whatever, like really gun savvy into it.
They're more focused, I think, on the stunts than the actual like intimate moments.
The technique too, I think, like the gun choreography. Yeah, for sure. You're absolutely right about that. What are your final thoughts before we wrap up?
Well, check out our Equalizer 3 review if you haven't already. But yeah, overall, it's one of our favorite intimate franchises. I think it'll talk to a lot of people, if you're great, film critics. Yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. It's one of our favorite action series in the genre. But yeah, that is our discussion for the Equalizer Revisited. It's another great franchises. We do a lot of revisiteds on this channel. We're going to actually do a Jaws Revisited pretty soon. That'll be interesting to talk about. We try to do plenty of content on this channel, reviews, discussions. So let us know what you guys would like to hear us discuss or review. And leave a comment. Like, anything helps the channel.
Like by like, comment by comment.
Sub by sub.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much. And until then, thanks for having lunch with us.
See you guys.